please open up the two-page template in InDesign. And we're just going to explore it a little bit. We're going to explore some of the styles that have been built into the template that apply to certain objects, including arrows, frames. There are some attributes that we can place onto things, colors of frames, fonts, bulleting, tabs, justification, all those things that make text the way it looks, all are applicable here. One thing I did notice right off the bat, if you go to View Grids and Guides, you may want to turn off the baseline grid. In the template, I've built in both baseline grid and a document grid. Document grid are these tiny, tiny quarter-inch squares. The baseline grid is basically lines for text. You can turn off the baseline grid. You can turn off both if you want, if you find the document grid distracting. But as you know from my Illustrator talks and Illustrator demonstration, I really get very comfortable with having a grid. You may also notice, first thing, how many of you, when you open up this document, the text is pink, or has a pink highlight to it? All right, that is InDesign telling you what?
You don't have that font.
You don't have that font. So you can't print here, you go ahead and have font. So, and as you move from workstation to workstation, that is something that can definitely happen. So as we close the course, I encourage you just to get comfortable and commit to 1 to 2 or 3 fonts total. That way you have them on all your workstations, whether you typically work at one of these stations or your home computer or otherwise. Just make sure you have all of that. I'll show you how to package things too and export fonts and things like that. But basically what InDesign is telling you is that it's rejecting the template as it is because Windows does not have that particular font installed. But we will have that fixed here momentarily. Absolute first thing I want to show you, if you have this box handy, I think you may have to turn something on or something like that to get that box there. We have several things to view, including links, pages, styles, swatches. So you may need to go to the View menu or the Window menu and start to pull up some of those standard things. So we've got a toolbar here, which is on the left-hand side, pages, we've got stroke, styles, all those different things are under Window, and you can arrange the workspace around your particular preference, so you can arrange or select a particular workspace. Right now I have workspace as essentials. You could also do, any one of those things would work, but you can see I've got pages, tools, styles is available here, but all those things are on this right-hand column are arranged so that I can quickly reference them and work with them as we move through the document. If we open up pages, under Window Pages, or if we lock this particular thing, as you build your right-hand column here, as you go to Window and select these things, you can nest them together. So it'll show up as a dialog, and then you can start nesting them together, and these things will start to work together every time you open up InDesign. So if your workspace is starting to look that way, if you could start opening up pages, styles, things like that, they can open up as little dialogues. You just start nesting them together here on the right-hand column. That'll appear every time you go into InDesign. But for now, just as we start to navigate a template like this, I want to go to the master page. So under Pages, under the master page, I want to double-click on the A master. The A master. So the A master has a few things set up for us that will appear throughout the document, or better yet, throughout whatever pages that we assign the A master to. What is a master page conceptually for us? In our working environment, a master page is a page that will have something, and whether it be content or a guideline or a page number, that will appear every time that master page is used. So if there's content that we want to be on every single page of the document, we're going to put it on the master page. And it will appear on every single page of the document. if there's a column or a guideline or two that we want to appear on every single working page throughout the document, we're going to put it on the master page. And it will appear every single time throughout the document. Now, documents may have different master pages. You can have an A master page, a B master page, a C master page, a D master page. So the book I'm laying out right now has an A, B, C, D, and an E. So what has happened is that I've designed 5 prototypical pages that are going to appear throughout my book. Each time I add pages to the book, I tell InDesign which master to follow. Okay? And it will appear that way. Every time I put in a new page in the book with new content, I want it to follow A master or B master or C master. Because each of those master pages has specific elements, guides, columns, or content that I want to appear whenever I use that particular master. Okay? So anything that we want to appear in our entire document here, we put it on the master page. So that might be a number of things. You can see here, this is a corporate logo. This document, this template here was made for Scotty's firm. So I put the corporate logo there. Let's start by placing maybe your logo. So for your organization, that might be something for us to include. So I'll just go over to my illustration firm here. Find my logos. Here's a PNG, and I will just place it. And it's it's not a big logo whatsoever, but so I'll just place it somewhere in this lower left. You can put it where you want. I'm comfortable at the moment with putting things kind of in the lower left, which will start to be towards the inner margin here on the left-hand page. In InDesign and in any Adobe product, if we use the Shift key and drag things, it will drag things proportionally or size things proportionally. And then in InDesign, I love the right mouse click. You know that I love the right mouse click for all of our programs, but in particular, the right mouse click gives us an incredible number of shortcuts. And these shortcuts, when we start to fit content and photographs and drawings, we have an entire menu here on fitting. Aha, fitting. Fit, fill frame proportionally, fit content proportionally, fit frame to content, fit content to frame center to content. Amazing stuff that all of this is unlocked in our wonderful, stupendous, delectable right mouse click. So I'm guessing I want to fit content to frame, and my logo will fit into that little frame now. Okay, this is just good practice, good shortcuts for all across our InDesign environment, particularly when we start to place photos. You'll see also that I have, in the lower corner down here, have placed an A, and in the right-hand corner, also an A. Those are the pre-programmed page numbers that will appear whenever the master page is used. So that's where the page numbers will appear. As we start to add pages in this document, those page numbers will automatically appear on successive pages. If you want the page numbers to be elsewhere, this is where you move them. Okay? All right, so, but right now, there's just a tiny, tiny little page number down here. We might consider making the box that it lives in a little bit bigger, just because maybe it's just going to be a little bit more liberal in terms of how much space it uses. Right now, I've made it extremely tiny, but let's give it a little bit more room. So we'll just take that box, and you'll see it kind of live there now. It doesn't make much sense right now because it's just a little bit of an A, but you'll see when we go to page 2 and page 3, you'll see it appear as a 2 there, and you'll see it appear as a 3. So let's go back to the master page and decide what kind of style we want this page number to have. So if we go into the Styles menu, we have some choices. We have object styles, we have character styles, we have paragraph styles. I have eliminated all the character styles here because most of what we need to accomplish can be done in paragraph styles. And here you will see a menu of styles that I've pre-built for you. Okay, pre-built, preloaded into the document. I want you to double-click on page number.
What tab is that?
That would be under, so if you go to Windows, Styles, and then it'll open up a dialog and just grab it over and nest it over here. Okay, so now we're going to look at the style. So this is where we assign the font that our page number will be. So I can change the font here. The size in points. So get familiar with points. They come directly from the science and art of typesetting, which was a movable type back in the 17th, 18th, 19th century. Leading is, again, from the movable type history. Movable type, it used to be a strip of lead that was placed in between rows of movable type. So leading still refers to the space between lines of text. Okay, has nothing to do with lead poisoning, although a lot of typesetters did go crazy. So let's say I want our page numbers to be a little bit bigger. This is where we would do it. So if I want them to appear 12-point, hyphenation. Hyphenation is one of the most annoying things in InDesign, but this is where you set whether a paragraph is going to be hyphenated or not. Can you imagine reading an entire column of text where every line is hyphenated? This is where you turn it on, or this is where you turn it off. Justification, single word justification, full justify, line left, line center, line right. This is where we set it. Character color. What color do you want the page numbers to be? So here's where we would set the color. You can see I've set a very boring LL Bean color scheme here for you. But this is where any predetermined color swatches that you've made and have loaded in InDesign will appear. If you have a color scheme that you have, then you would load those into the swatches menu, and then those would appear here. But just for giggles, let's go with our boring LL Bean, yuppie lifestyle color scheme. So our page numbers are now brown. They are now a different font. And again, I want them to live maybe in this little bit of a different place here. So I kind of move them around a little bit. Put them into a space. Go right and go left. Bless you. And that's where they'll live now. So if we go back to page 2 and 3, you'll see page 2 is kind of in here. It's kind of behind the text now. Page 3 is right over here. So content that lives on the master page will appear always in that place on subsequent use of the master page. If we go to our pages menu again and we see here, we just hover our cursor over this first page. You can see that a master is applied. You can change it. You can tell it to have none. Again, with a right mouse click. So if we have a book that has more than one master page, we can tell a page to follow that certain thing, or we can have it follow no master page. But at the moment, it's following master page. Let's add some pages now. So in the pages box is a trash can and a tab here to create new pages. So let's go ahead and create 2 new pages. They don't have any content on them, although you will see that our page numbers are appearing. Page 4, the logo, the guides, and page 5. If we start grabbing some stuff now, let's grab this photo and copy it to pasteboard. Let's just lay out a grid of stuff. So it may be a grid of stuff This could be like for your module 1, if you wanted to start to lay out some things for your module 1. I'm just going to lay in some photos, some photo boxes with our dummy photo that's there. So let's just start to make a grid. This is why I really like that document grid as a reference grid. It allows me to start to space things out. The document is a 2-column grid, which you can see the spine is visible. That has been set on the master page. The inner margin and the outer margin have been set on the master page as well. And let's just assume that we're laying out maybe some photos from our module 1, and we would start to make a grid. And you can see 6 is a very nice number. 8 probably ain't going to cut it, but we can arrange and start to place those in there. And once we've done that, we're now ready to drop in unique content. So go into your Photos menu. You may want to find a photo menu that you like, or a list of photos that you have handy, or just the Windows picture menu, just to whatever starts to apply there. I'm going to click on this now with our primary pointer. InDesign has 2 pointers, so I'll cover that right now. So we click on this one photo box, and we can see over here in Object Styles, I have called it a photo frame. The photo frame has some attributes to it. It has at the moment, it has a green stroke around it. It has perfectly shaped corners, not rounded corners or beveled corners. All those things are controlled here in the Styles menu. So those attributes have been loaded into photo frame. So I'll just click on that one photo, and I'll go to File and Place, and look for some images. So I will need a particular document. Let's go Chapter 1 photos. I'm sure we have something here. All right, here we go. Here's some of our 1-1 students. I'll go to File and Place. It can be any photos. And what it does, because we have this option of turned on Replace Selected Item, this is a clickable option here when we come into this. Replace Selected Item, we can then replace the content that is in that particular box. So these can be photos of any kind. I've got Replace Selected Item as an option. And now, this will be now a very simple photo grid. Okay. All right, so now we're basically a copy editor. This is how the role of the copy editor in a newspaper or a magazine publisher. The photographer had certain intentions as to how the content was going to fit in, but we only have so many column inches to fit it in. So these, again, with this right mouse click or control click, we have opportunities now to start to say, how do I want this content to fit into this frame? Do I want to fill it proportionally? Do I want to fit it proportionally? Do I want to fit the frame to content, fit content to frame to center, whatever? Okay. Depending on how fast you're working or what kind of content you're looking at, filling frame proportionally is pretty good because it will preserve a general sense of proportions that we expect when we're looking at humans or if we're looking at certain things. That works pretty well. In this case, I don't know. It may not work that well. Fill frame proportionally, not so good. In this case, perhaps centering the content would be better, or something of that different of that nature. Fit frame to content is going to modify the frame. Fit content to frame will simply smush it. Okay, that's not good. That's no longer representational of what the content actually is. So it's like, So the copy editor has to make these things. Fit content proportionally. Oh my goodness now. Now we've got white space on either side. So how do we, so this was a square photo. So we have to make some decisions here. Well, our second arrow, the content, what I call the content arrow. The frame arrow is the left-hand arrow. The content arrow is that second arrow up in our toolbar. If you don't have that toolbar open, go to Window and select that toolbar. Make sure it's open. Now, what we're going to do is click on the content now, and we can stretch the content. Oops. You move. And we're going to stretch now that photo using the Shift key until it's in a place that I am comfortable with it. Maybe it's better just kind of like that. So you have the power to crop that photo and stretch that photo so it fits into that frame there. That's better. Okay. So that's basic photos in a photo frame, fitting them proportionally to that frame and potentially moving or cropping that photo to fit into that frame. Okay? Powerful stuff. Continue doing that. I love this fitting thing. Content proportionally. Now that doesn't work. Fill frame proportionally. That's pretty good. No. No. Not cool. Move that down a little bit. Move that down. That better. And well, not a good example. And so forth. Those work. Okay. Now I'll go back over here and look for some sort of menu, if you will, stuff that I can use here. So maybe, potentially, this guy might help me. I might consider using this as a caption starter or a caption thing for photos. And so this might be a possibility of a bubble, a text bubble that allows me to create some captions for photos. So I'll just move that over here. And go, all right, well now I need some room. I just got to move the stuff around. So I'll just move that around. And maybe that's something that I'm comfortable using as a captionizer for photos. Possible. I can see, though, I'm going to have some problems. Chances are I'm going to go back to my master page here and go, yeah, you're pretty proud of yourself, but your logo needs to be smaller. Do that. It's probably better. There we go. Oh, that fits better now. Yes. And you can see what's in the caption is this gobbledygook, right? Okay, we call it Greeking. It's not Greek, it's actually Latin. But it's a passage from the Odyssey, or the Iliad, one of those, that is typical for copy editors to use as text filler while they are potentially waiting for revised content from their content writers, or from their journalists, or their team, or whatever. And I can see I'm running out of room, so I need to go back to my master pages and sort of adjust some things around. Chances are my page numbers need to be extra dainty. So as you work, you discover that there are things that you can modify as you work, depending on what kind of content, what kind of booklet you're starting to make. look something like that. Okay? Now, it's still kind of kooky, kind of weird. So let's figure out what exactly we want to do here. So you don't like the green, you don't like the tan. Well, let's go into the object styles and start to modify some of this around your personal taste. So right now, this is an attributable style called text frame with drop shadow that I built for you. So we double click on that. Right away, we can see it has no stroke. It has a joint corner. So if we wanted to make it a rounded corner or something like that, we could do that. We've got the corner options here. We've got none. We've got fancy, bevel, inset, inverse rounded, and rounded. So if you're into woodworking and picture framing, that may mean something to you. You know, rounded corners, that would obviously make it a more rounded bubble. If we go with none, then it'll keep it as a hard corner. This particular text frame has been assigned a paragraph style called body text white. And that is a set of paragraph style, but we can tell it to do something else, just body text. That would be one way of changing the way that appears. Then general options, inset spacing. Inset spacing is where the text exists within that frame. So basically, if we've got text in a bubble or a frame, we want a little bit of inset spacing, we set that here. And then other options. Then so all the things that are been assigned to the object, whether they be drop shadow or outer glow, those things can be set here. So I'll turn it, in this case.
Is there a preview? Like, can we turn on a preview?
Not that I'm aware of. So basically now I've turned off the drop shadow and I've assigned body text to this. It's a good question. I'm not aware of the preview. So that now we can lay out a string of photographs using this text frame if we want to use that as an object. If you don't like that color of the fill, this is a place to change that as well. Change it to that green, do that, or change it to really dark gray. And you'll see the text disappear. We'll go back to paragraph style, body text, white. And it'll look something like that. Basic point of using styles is, if we were to do what we just did right here, and we weren't to use styles at all in InDesign, if we were to use InDesign the way that some people do, we would have to highlight and change every single object in the document. Every single instance of that object. We'd have to click it and change it and highlight it. And that takes hours, okay? If you were to lay this out in Illustrator, right? You'd be like, highlight that, change that, okay? InDesign has some efficiencies built in because every instance of that in the document will now automatically change. Here's the previous instance of it. It has been automatically changed. Okay?
Is there a way to make them unique like some of them?
Yes.
I mean, in case like I would like to change some of them.
Yeah. There it is. So we can come over here and
I don't use InDesign. So I don't know how that works.
Well, if you just go over to the toolbar and you pick up a frame and just make a frame and don't apply a style to it, it's basically unique. It's its own thing. There's nothing to it yet. And you can modify that all day if you want. If you never attribute a style to it, it's its own thing. It's absolutely unique. If you get into here and you don't want the thing to have a style anymore, I believe that you can delete the style from it. I've never done that before. Oh, okay, none. I click on the frame and I go none. That's how you do it. So if you click on the thing and you go back to the style menu and go none, it'll erase the style from this. It's its own thing now. Totally unique. Okay? So that's not photo frame. All right, so let's double click on photo frame and we look at that. Right now it has no fill. It has a green bar. Change that there. It's 4 points. You can change that, all those things. It has no drop shadow, all those things. And it will update every instance of photo frame in the document. It has updated every instance of photo frame in the document. Okay? Arrows. Also very helpful. I'm going to grab this little arrow and I'm going to paste a bunch of those. What are the arrows? Where will these be helpful for in a document like this?
Maybe if it's like a larger picture and you want to point out a small detail.
Yep. Yep. So if you're labeling a plan or labeling a map or something like that. So you might have a bunch of arrows all over this document. And again, they're not unique arrows. They are attributed to a style. So every instance of that arrow can have consistent properties. In the sense, right now it has no fill, it has a stroke. Change the stroke. Stroke and corner options. This is kind of like Illustrator. You basically tell it what kind of arrowhead to have. Okay. Very similar to Illustrator. It has a drop shadow. I can turn that off and keep it on. And it'll update every single instance of arrow in the entire document. So you can start setting your own style, your own comfortable, your own rhythm, your own color scheme based on swatches that you either build or load from Adobe's standard menus. You can basically make this thing your own. But this 2-page document has I've built in some things in here that you can make your own. Okay, and that are attributable throughout the document. One thing I really don't like right now is the fonts that were in here. So I'm really interested in maybe changing body text white into something different. This is where I would do it. So going back into our fonts, and maybe something attributing font size and leading. It will change every single instance of it. Oh, much better. Very efficient, isn't it? Imagine going back and changing every single one of these. Not so much fun. Okay? By using the Greeking, you create a budget for how much text something is in. Should we write our text raw in InDesign? No. Don't recommend it. You could, but I do not recommend it because InDesign's spell check is not intuitive, it is not reactive, it will not tell you when you've misspelled a word. Okay? You have to take it into a separate story editor and run a spell check there, which takes more steps, and more likely an error will pass through to me. Okay? Write your text in Word and copy and paste it over. That simple. Okay? Write your text in Word and copy and paste it over. Okay? All the formatting that exists in Word, most of the formatting, not bold or anything like that, will come over. But Word has the much more intuitive grammar and spell check. InDesign's grammar and spell check is not intuitive whatsoever with your single steps. So write your text in Word, copy and paste it over into the bubble is the best way to do that. Okay. Let's place a plan. I need a plan. I need to find a plan that I've drawn. Okay. Let's see. American Rivers. Here, rivers, tanning, images. Here, here's a plan. So I bring it in, I scale it using the Shift key. I want to scale it just right. I want this to float maybe in here. And then I do my right mouse click, fitting options, fill frame proportionally. I click on the object itself. I go to object, arrange, send it to the back. And then I can use my leader lines now, hold them into place. These arrows. Rotate down. I can stretch them, I can rotate them. I can also draw a line, right? Here's a line, and that's just a line right now. And then I go to Object Styles, and I tell it to be an arrow. Okay? So you can draw a box or a line and tell it to become something, just like we can tell it to become nothing. So the Styles menu is very flexible in that as well. So if you draw a box or draw an arrow or a line, you just tell it to follow one of the styles later on. Again, for Ahmed's question, can something be unique? You just tell it to not follow style at all. And that becomes a way that we can start to populate our drawings and plans and images that we've built for this course and for other courses. Okay. So we've covered placing basic content using some of the styles. You can see this. I'm not going to attribute anything to this, so it's going to have a nice clean white edge. Okay. I probably just need to adjust its sizes a little bit here, where it's proportionally. But then this might become a full page image, fully annotated for the reader to balance against the grid of images that are on the left-hand side. I might go back to my previous page here, and I might think about grabbing these two things as a way of annotating this. Similarly, this might be part of the layout that tells our viewer about this particular plan. Just go ahead like so. Flip that over. It might start to look something like that. If you have an icon or a PNG, ooh, fantastically wonderful, super fantastic. If a PNG has a transparent edge, see how it floats over things? So that might be another feature. And that could be a small diagram, or that could be a little photo, or it could be a logo, or it could be an icon that you built for your flowchart. Notice how PNGs in InDesign float over content, so that becomes part of the character of the document. And that can nest things together. Here's another one. Here's an icon with text wrap that I've built for you. So this icon has been placed into its own circular frame. It has a drop shadow, and I've built in the feature of text wrap, so the text will wrap around it. So if we grab this little guy and take him over to the next page, and nest there, and let's grab part of our bulleted list here. This is a bulleted list in the paragraph styles. In the bullet list, I've built in this tab or indent so that those line up nicely. That's good for table of contents or good for bulleted lists. Put that there. And you'll notice when it starts to interact with the icon that it will wrap around it. The icon will actually force it to wrap around it, because text wrap has been built into the object attributes. Those things have been built into the style itself. So text wrap is one of the options that we can tell an object to have a behavior on to other objects. Let's look at our work. I'm like, got some stuff going on now. Getting there. I'm still not happy with my first font, so I'm just going to go back in here and go into body text and basically pick a font that I'm comfortable with. I think I went with Gill Sans with the previous one, so I'll just tell it to be Gill Sans, and I'll tell it to be 11. And I'll tell it to be a certain color. That'll be the body text for every instance of the body text, and you'll see it update across the document. Ooh, look at that. Much better. Very civilized. So, it is updated in the bulleted list, and it's updated into the body text. It updated into bulleted list because bulleted list is a style that was based on body text. Interesting. So when we originally built bulleted list, it was based on body text. When we change body text, it changes the style that it is told that it's to be based on. So those things start to happen. You can see Scotty's face over here. I snapped that at breakfast one day, and so that kind of floats in there. This is a PNG cutout, so the negative space has been cut around here. And so he's living up there. This one here is called Chapter Intro. I'm going to give that another font now. We will go with Gill Sans for this one. 48. Character color. We can tell text to have fill and stroke, both. Right now it has no stroke, it has white fill. Sometimes it's fun to turn off the fill and just have a stroke. Have a stroke. Ha! Perfect. Tell it to have no fill, and text will have that outline kind of feel to it. So if you want things to have that outline feel, it'll take on the color of whatever it's with. So that's another fun variation you can add onto your text. Okay? That covers the basics of style management and manipulation. This covers some of the features that are built into this template. This covers basic placement of images into frames. And this covers the placing of text from Word that you compose in Word and bring back again. Now, you're going to notice something. As we navigate this template, if we go to the links page, you're going to see that I've built in and embedded several images. So the picture of Scott, this logo that I had, the original photo of the markers, the aquaculture logo, these are all embedded into the document. When you embed something into an InDesign document, it adds to its data size, and that data size can significantly grow. So I recommend only embedding images that you intend to live on master pages, or things that are going to be all over the document. InDesign's default is to link to the content, not automatically put the content into the document. It is to link to the document. Why would anyone do this? What is the purpose of that? Of linking content rather than automatically embedding it.
Might get bogged down with
Right.
the file.
Right, so the file can get so huge that nobody can open it.
People are using on their own computers.
Okay.
That's true too.
Most of these things are made by teams, and so copy editor says, this photo's too dark. They yell it over to the photo editor, they lighten it 20%, load it back into the server, it automatically updates. So most of these documents are done by teams, and so the photo editor's over here, the copy editor's over here, and so it's consequently much more efficient for the workflow to have the content living somewhere else on a server and be linked to the document. So the photo editor is over there and makes changes to this. InDesign will give you an alert right here in the form of an exclamation mark to say, this content has changed. Would you like to reload? Yes. And so consequently, you reload the content and it will update according to where it's come. So an example of that would be here. So if this photo here were to change, then InDesign would give me an alert that the link has changed. Would you like to relink it? This is the #1 cause for concern, cause for mistakes, cause for problems when folks in this building use InDesign, because their links get broken. They save it on one computer, they go to another computer, and all of a sudden all their images are broken. And InDesign will show you a cached 72 DPI pixelated low resolution version of it, and you go, oh no, where's my image? To prevent the problems of my file migration, when we're done working for the day at a station, we have to run what we call a package. So first of all, because I've given you this as a template, it means that you'll never be able to modify the template. That's good. It means you won't lose the template. It means that you need to save it as a unique name, and it's an active InDesign document. So it's a PLAN605 demo 11/29/2018. And folks who work with me know that I'm obsessive about putting the date into every file just because. Anyway. So that's saved now. But if I want to migrate from this computer elsewhere, I'm going to run a package. This will package the fonts from your computer, package the links and images, package the colors, the settings, and everything, so that I can take that package over to another computer if I need to. It's going to create a folder with all of these things packaged together. And that's what migrates back to your home computer, or that's what migrates back to this workstation. Get into the habit that if you're using different workstations or going back and forth from home, to run a package at the end of your session. Package. Continue. Tell it where to save, and it's going to copy fonts, link graphics, updated images, all those things. I've got a select preset of high quality print. That's going to basically be 200 to 300 DPI printing. You know, there's different settings for that, and then create the package. It'll give me a warning. There's overset text on page 5. Are you sure you want it? Okay. All right. So that folder now lives on my desktop somewhere. Here is the folder. That is the folder that would migrate now to the next workstation. Okay. This gives you the portability to be able to go from station to station. If you don't do this, your links will break.
Even if all my pictures are on my...
Well, yes. Yeah. I suggest running the package each time you move. So, okay. So, And I recommend putting the date in there too, so each time you work on it, you have a unique date. And you can get rid of the old ones, right? It's just good file management. Okay? We'll stop the video there. All right, I've got a big long thing of text here. I brought in, let's say hypothetically from Word. It don't fit. It don't fit in there. So, InDesign will give us a little red plus. And red plus means you have overset text. Okay? That red plus, I grab the red plus, I click on it, boop, and I carry it over here, boop, and it will bring in the rest of that text there. So if I shorten this, it'll set it over. See how that works? So that's how we can bring in a long thing of text and have it span pages or span columns. Very important. To see what this looks like, see where we're at, the best way is to basically create a PDF of it. So, to do that, go to Export, PDF Print, save. It already made one in the package. When you go to print your storyboard, I recommend using 4. 4, Adobe 4 will flatten everything. It just makes it easier to print. If you're just viewing it on the screen, you can use the later versions. There are some things that are set when you, in this menu, when you get ready to make a PDF of it. But just know, and it's in the problem statement, that when you get ready to make your storyboard, to save it as version 4. And Helen down in the CRC reminds everybody of that in her elegant way. So if we go now to this package folder, we will see a PDF. And this is our blank first page because we didn't have anything on it. But this is basically how our pages look, without all the guidelines and the document and all that stuff. All that's gone right now. So we can actually start to see now the effects of some of the decisions we made in terms of how things were set, okay, how our text reads, the column width, the spine width. Much more clean way of understanding how this is going to look without all of the guidelines and all those things. So making PDFs is helpful as you work, just to see exactly what the effects of our decisions are, the color of the frame, all those different things. Here's some of the decisions we made again. And now it's like, well, do I really want this? So if you decide you don't, then this is the time to do it. You turn off the frame that's going to update every single instance of that frame. And we can see here that there's a slight problem here that we may need to fix. And of course, some more work here in terms of things being labeled. But we can see that this overlays nicely. So good to check our work as we go through, make PDFs, and see how that they will preview. When I communicate with my editor, this is basically a left and right page spread. This is how I send it to them, and so consequently, that's how they'll read it and look at it. And if you export to a website like Issuu, if you want to export your portfolio up to Issuu or something like that, there are different settings that they recommend in terms of making it that so that it appears like a magazine does in Issuu. So those are fun things to look at. Let's see. Issuu portfolios, urban planning. And we mentioned Issuu as an example. It just opens up like so. So you've got the left and the right, and it flips through like a magazine. the difference, here's a landscape, this is an interesting landscape portfolio. A little bit of an idea of an urban planning student over in Europe. So that's how it starts to read when you upload your PDFs to Issuu, and that might be a very convenient digital platform for you to share your work with others as you start to look for jobs and internships and the like. Okay. We'll stop there.